down and out, riddled with doubt, had nowhere to go. Everything's moving so slow, the time's moving too fast. I hope this feeling don't last. Well, I've been away from myself too long. My body is aching from all my wrongs. And now that I know I'm not that strong, I'll keep slipping on to you. I'll keep slipping until my time is through. I'll keep slipping on to you, yeah, on to you. Well, I've been away from myself too long. My body is aching from all my wrongs. And now that I know I'm not that strong, I'll keep slipping on to you. I'll keep slipping until my time is through. I'll keep slipping on to you, yeah, on to you. I was down and out, so riddled with doubt.
you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Whew. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
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 Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Deo, Deo.
Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake it won't go down. Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake it won't go down. Corrosion to her thighs, erosion of her pride. Baby's got a shooter, baby's got corrosion now, corrosion now. Baby's got it.
We're live. Oops, I am a little tall there. Sorry. Good morning. It's Friday, the 13th. No, what is it? The 26th? Is that right? Consult the old calendar here. Yeah, it's 26th of September. It's a little chilly out there. I like it. It's like in the 60s here in Chicago. It's all nice and chilly. Speaking of chili, had some chili last night. Put some jalapenos in some regular bean chili, you know how they can, but put some jalapenos in there and some a little bit of, well, not so much, a little bit of chipotle salsa in there too. Let's just say sitting here is a bit of a challenge. Good morning. Sorry, TMI, I'm sure. I'm sure you didn't there to hear about, yes, exactly, Bella. You know what I'm saying. Fire in the hole. Pepper Diablo. No, it was good going down. You know how that goes, right? Had an old style beer with it. Delicious. But then in the morning, you've heard the walk of shame. That's the poop of shame right there. Kieran, good to see you. Hello, good morning to you. Bella, yes, Pepper, my Pepper friend, good to see you. Chuck's Intergalactic UFO Show Intergalactic in the house. Good to see you. Do you have a toilet on your spaceship, Chuck? Is that a thing? How do you tell us in the chat how you poop? If you want to. Mystery, darling, good to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well this morning, dear. Who all's up here? Miss Lainey Peterson. Yeah, you saw our little thing there, the undercurrent. That's coming up Wednesday. Lainey was on ExtraBulla Live Wednesday night. We chit-chatting about all kinds of cool stuff. It was fun, so you should check that out if you missed that. And she's going to be back on Tuesday, kind of teasing some stuff we're going to be doing for the first show for the Undercurrent on Wednesday. I think the link is down below, but just look for The Undercurrent for YOU on the YouTubes there if you're searching, and you should find it. So, and subscribe to us. It's going to be fun. We're also going to still stream the show on this channel too. So yeah, kind of a simulcast kind of thing. But we encourage you to come over to the Undercurrent YouTube chat, because that's a pants optional section. Here we have to have some decorum, because it's the legacy, the OG. So that channel, we have to have some sort of modicum of class, as per the health department. Willie, what's up? Good to see you. Vacation's over already? You just started. Do you got to go back tonight? That's unfair. Well, enjoy whatever you have left of your vacation for us there. Vera Madeira, I said, I always try to make some little fun things for everybody's names. So I said, the first thing I thought of was Vera Madeira, as in my dear. So anyway, if you hate that, just tell me you hate it. And I'll stop doing it. But it's good to see you nonetheless. And of course, the man, the myth, the legend himself, live at Caesar's Palace every Saturday night. It's Max RJ, ladies and gentlemen. Whistle, whistle, whistle. Applause, applause, applause. You never wear your pants or dress when Willie. Now I know why you're called Willie Bragg. All right. That's dirty. I'm sorry. We've got actual news and shit to get to. That's what you came here for, the bad shit. Right? We got plenty of that. Let me make sure I got everybody. Anybody over there lurking on Rumble? If you're lurking on Rumble, good morning, Rumble. Good morning, Facebook, if you're lurking there too. So there you go, Lainey. So Lainey put it in the chat there. The old that's the link tree to Undercurrent. All things the Undercurrent. Oh, I gotta get rid of this thing. Bitch. Sorry, that ruined my thing. Yeah, so Lainey is kind of like the she's the social media guru of the team. I'm more the graphics monkey. we go with our strengths. So check out that all the everything that's on there. Of course, we'll be adding to it as well as things grow. So as we grow with it, with the same kind of thing, same family format we have over here. Everybody get together, and but Lainey's putting together some good stuff. Like I said, the news you can use. I don't really think I could put it any simpler than that, because you need actual information that is going to benefit you in your life, and maybe even change it for the better. Who knows? Some of the stuff that these little secret hidden gems that nobody's advertising, Lainey's up in there just rooting in there and just treasure. That's how it is. So Kieran, yes, Willie late Cammy. Wait a minute, Kieran, are you channeling Choosy? You're channeling Choosy, aren't you? Where's Choosy? All right, hashtag where's Choosy? We gotta find Choosy. The search for Choosy never ends. And then when you find him, you'll write a book in the chat. Then you make fun of him for making a book in the chat. He gets his feelings hurt, and then he runs away. So hopefully, Choosy, if you're just lurking, I'm sorry. I apologize. We're just having a bit of fun. Come back to us. We miss you. Maybe limit it to short stories instead of, epic novels. Give someone else a chance. Mystery says we need a nationwide winter sewers apocalypse, a special Gridmas present, or something survivalish like that. Products have been long placed. Yeah, you got that right. A winter sewers apocalypse? I don't know. That's kind of wild. Some apocalypse is coming, I think. Because this can't sustain itself, right? It's going to be just like France, all these elites, all these people with the money and everybody else who don't got the money, and they're all like, it's eventually going to happen. It's going to be gross. We need to try to avoid that, but I don't know if we can at this point. Choosy at the Banshees. Choosy. I said Choosy's name 3 times. Hey, Beetlejuice, come on, Choosy. Oh shit, Mister, you got that right, lady. It is so dumb. Okay, all right. Enough of this levity. It's time for some heartbreaking, destructive bullshit. God, why are we even still doing this? You know what we're starting off with. Come on. All right, so Israel launches major airstrikes on Yemeni capital, killing at least 9. I don't know how tough the Yemenis people are. They seem pretty resilient, but they've been pounded a pretty good bit too. The Israeli military launched major airstrikes on the Yemeni capital of Sana'a yesterday. An assault came after a Yemeni drone struck the Israeli city of Eilat, as the Houthis have vowed their attacks on Israel won't stop until there's an end to Israel's genocidal war on Gaza. Yemeni Health Ministry spokesman Anis al-Azbahi said the Israeli attacks targeted civilian service and residential facilities, causing damage to a number of homes. He said that at least 9 people were killed and 174 were wounded, but it's a preliminary death toll that's expected to rise. Among those killed were 4 children and 2 women. Footage and photos from Yemen's Al Masira TV show significant damage to a residential area of Sana'a and Yemenis, including children being treated in a hospital. It's always the kids, man. The Israeli military said the strikes on Sana'a involved 20 warplanes that dropped 65 munitions on several targets it claimed belonged to the Houthis. That's right. If it begins with an H, bomb it. That's what Israel does. Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah claimed it belonged to the Houthi security and intelligence apparatus. Israeli media described the attack as Israel's largest yet on Yemen, though the IDF recently killed 31 people at newspaper offices in Sana'a, marking the worst massacre of journalists since 2009, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said that Thursday's attack was the fulfillment of a threat he made a day earlier after he sucked the cock of Satan. I'm sorry. That's not what it says. Some South Park shit right there. Was a fulfillment of a threat he made the day earlier after the Yemeni drone attack hit Eilat, which wounded over 20 Israelis. Katz, who's been threatening Yemen with biblical plagues, claimed that the strikes eliminated dozens of Houthi terror operatives and destroyed stockpiles of UAVs and weaponry. Choosy Channel relates he may need to file suit because of YouTube server suppression. He comes up on my feed. Oh yeah, he's always Choosy is. He's always talking about how he's getting censored in people's chats and stuff. I think that's why he chatted so much in here, because we were one of the very few that wasn't censoring him, right? So he was like, fuck it, I'm going to do all my chatting in here. I hope that's not the case. That's just terrible. That's some dumb shit to do to people like that. Fucking YouTube. It was so good before Google took it. Or Alphabet, whoever literally owns it. But so he's claiming with biblical plagues, claiming that the strikes eliminated dozens of Houthi terror operatives and destroyed stockpiles of UAVs. However, the Houthis, officially known as Ansar Allah, have maintained a defiant tone in the face of ramped up Israeli attacks. According to Yemen's Saba news agency, the foreign ministry of the Sana'a-based government said after the latest Israeli airstrikes that Yemen will continue to respond to the blatant Zionist aggression and will continue to teach the Zionist entity the harshest lessons. Ooh. In other words, they're going to keep fucking with them. The Houthis are known for their resilience and did not back down in the face of a very heavy U.S. bombing campaign that Trump conducted from March 15th to May 6th, which killed more than 250 civilians. Of course, it's always civilians, particularly kids. The U.S. gave up on trying to get the Houthis to stop their attacks on Israel and blockade of Israeli shipping and agreed to a ceasefire with the group. But that doesn't mean the U.S. isn't going to jump right back in and, put a pounding on them some more, especially if they are significantly kicking Israel's ass. If that starts happening, then the U.S. is probably going to be like, okay, you need to stop that. So, meanwhile, same headline, change the numbers. Israeli forces kill at least 83 more Palestinians in Gaza over 24 hours. The IDF launched heavy strikes in central and southern Gaza, massacring families despite telling Palestinians in Gaza City to flee there. So Gaza's health ministry said yesterday that Israeli forces killed at least 83 Palestinians and wounded 216 over the previous 24-hour period as U.S.-backed Israeli attacks continued across the Strip. While telling Palestinians in Gaza City to flee south, the IDF continues to launch heavy attacks on southern and central Gaza and massacre families in those areas. According to the AP, an Israeli strike hit a house and a tent in the central town of Zawaida early yesterday morning, killing 12 Palestinians. Among those killed were a couple and their 5 children, along with 3 other children. The AP report said that in Deir al-Balah, central Gaza, an Israeli strike hit a tent, killing a girl and wounding several other people. In the southern city of Khan Yunis, an Israeli strike hit an apartment building, killing a man, his pregnant wife, their 10-year-old child, and another female relative. Hamas, right? Meanwhile, in Gaza City, Reuters reported that Israeli forces deepened their offensive into the city. Israel's goals involve cleansing the city of its Palestinian population and razing every building to the ground, while hundreds of thousands have fled to the south. Palestinian officials say over 900,000 have remained. And like a lot of those people have said, you know what? We're tired of running. They're going to kill us anyway. Might as well kill us where we know where everything is. And that's just fucking sad as hell. Hey, CBC voter, good to see you, buddy. Happy Friday to you, my friend. As Israel continues its slaughter in Gaza, Trumpy and other U.S. officials are claiming a ceasefire deal could be close. But there's no sign the U.S. is putting any pressure on Israel to agree to end its genocidal campaign. They kind of need Israel to stop murdering them in order for them to come to the peace table at this point. And what kind of peace are they going to get for real? Trump continues to provide military aid to Israel, which it needs to sustain military operations in Gaza, and recently approved $6 billion worth of arms deals that will be funded by the U.S. Gaza's health ministry said that its violent death toll since October 7th has reached 65,000 over that, but, these are The numbers are much more than that in Israel, and we continue to let it happen. So Spain is going to join Italy in sending a warship to assist Gaza aid flotilla after Israeli attack. So, we're talking about these are like technically allied countries, right? So, some shit gonna happen. So Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez announced Wednesday that Spain will join Italy in sending a military warship to help the global Samud flotilla, which is attempting to deliver aid to starving Palestinians in the besieged Gaza Strip, and came under drone attack following threats from the Israeli Foreign Ministry. Last night, multiple civilian boats were targeted by unmanned drones, the global Samud flotilla said on Wednesday. The attacks included the deployment of explosive and incendiary devices, deliberate dispersal of chemical substances onto civilian vessels, disabling an emergency communication devices, and calculated physical damage designed to render the ships unseaworthy and endanger volunteers aboard, aka sabotage. I'm telling all of y'all, it's sabotage. The group added that all of its crew remained safe. According to a flotilla tracker, the flotilla consists of 52 boats, and the majority of them are currently right off the coast of Crete. The two boats previously came under drone attack when they were in Tunisia. We told you about that with the incendiaries things trying to hit the gas tank and blow them up. Italy was the first country to announce it was deploying a warship to the flotilla, citing the presence of Italian citizens on the boats. Italian Defense Minister Guido Crosetto, hey! That's terrible, I'm sorry. Said that to ensure assistance to the Italian citizens on the flotilla, he had authorized the immediate intervention of the Italian Navy's multi-purpose frigate, Fasan. And I so wanted to do that in an Italian accent, but it was so cartoonish and people would hate me. They already do, but fuck it. Sanchez announced his plans to deploy a warship while attending the UN General Assembly in New York. The government of Spain insists that international law be respected and that the right of our citizens should be respected to sail through the Mediterranean in safe conditions, he said. So Spain is like getting spicy. I mean, I'm not saying that to be racist, but they getting pretty fucking spicy with this shit. Woo, that won't make me sneeze. Tomorrow we will dispatch a Navy vessel from Cartagena. And the only reason, folks, the only reason I know that's pronounced Cartagena is because of that movie Romancing the Stone with Michael Douglas and what's her face, and yeah. They had to go to Cartagena. Thank you, movies, for your knowledge. With all necessary resources in case it was necessary to assist the flotilla and carry out a rescue operation, Sanchez said. According to Ann Wright, a retired U.S. Army colonel and peace activist, at least 22 American citizens, including 6 veterans, are among the more than 500 unarmed crew members on boats in the flotilla. So around 500 people. The U.S. government has stayed quiet about the Israeli attacks on the flotilla boats, despite the presence of U.S. citizens. Why? Shh, don't talk about them. The Samud flotilla marks the 4th attempt to break Israel's starvation blockade on Gaza this year, but the first time that multiple vessels are involved. The first boat to try to break the blockade this year, the Conscience, came under Israeli drone attack off the coast of Malta in May, halting its journey. In June, there was the Madeleine. Remember that? The third was the Hamdallah. It was also captured by Israeli forces. Isn't that the one that had the Amazon dude on there? I think he was on there. So yeah, and then there's a little history there, but you know all that stuff. So the warships, that's pretty interesting. Sending those in like that, right? So, because what's going to have, you're going to have those boats out there, and you're going to have Israeli drones flying around, just being just like little flying cockroaches. And remember, kids, the Israelis, what was it, back in the 60s, attacked an American boat, the USS Liberty. Killed Americans. They didn't pay for that. And that was a warship. These are civilian crafts. And then I guess the Italian and Spanish military ships, but I'm just saying, I'm just saying there could be an incident over this, and I think somebody might get killed, unfortunately. I hope not. So where the hell? Oh, there we go. So the Palestinian president, he is such a fucking cuck, this guy, the Palestinian president. He just seems just like that somebody's got a hand up his ass just telling him what to say and how to say it. And, it said they wouldn't even let him in at the UN, right? This is some sort of supposed ally or trying to be an ally of the United States. So Palestinian president denounces October 7th attack while at the UN General Assembly. This is some fun stuff. So the Palestinian president, speaking over video after the U.S. revoked his visa, told world leaders Thursday that his people reject the 2023 Hamas attack on Israel and pledged that the militant group would have no role in governing Gaza after war ends and must hand over its weapons. Mahmoud Abbas told the UN General Assembly that Palestinians in Gaza have been facing a war of genocide, destruction, starvation, and displacement by Israel. His speech came as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu heads to New York. I believe he's giving his speech today at the UN. Despite laying out in gruesome detail the death and destruction in Gaza, Abbas said Palestinian authorities reject the action Hamas carried out on October 7th and that it does not represent their people, which is starting to look more and more like a psyop anyway, that this was more of an Israeli project, the old October 7th. Not unlike a September 11th incident that happened 24 years ago. I'm just saying. He also laid out his vision for what government would look like in territories once the war is over, saying that the Palestinian Authority is ready to bear full responsibility for governance and security. Forgetting that Bibi has basically said, no, we don't want you running shit. We don't want to put you in camps or kick you out of the country. He added that Hamas will have no role to play in governance and will have to hand over their weapons to the Palestinian authorities. There can be no justice if Palestine is not freed, Abbas said. Probably one of his liberal friends told him to say that because he forgot what it meant. In a short but resolute speech, Abbas thanked the world leaders who have stood up for Palestinians throughout the Gaza war, saying that the recent recognition of Palestinian statehood has presented his people with hope for peace and an end to the conflict. Doesn't really seem like he's looking at the post-war stuff. Mouse. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that, buddy. You got that right there, Mr. Man. You Weisenheimer, you. He welcomed the recent announcements from France, the UK, and Canada to recognize them as an independent state and called for the remains few dozen countries to do the same. But he added that symbolic recognition is not enough to address the present moment Neither are symbolic video screen speeches at the UN. Just saying. Before concluding, he sent a message of hope to the Palestinian people, saying that no matter how long the suffering continues, its results will not break our will to live and survive. After Abbas's speech at the UNGA, the attention is now turned to Israeli Prime Minister Bibi when he addresses the UN today, specifically what his case is for why Israel has continued this ongoing genocide in Gaza. It says 2-year war. I say Gaza because that's how that is, right? So yeah, and also at the UN, it's the UN of World Diplomacy Comic-Con. The Romulans show up, and the Vulcans come, and it's really nice, and the Klingons come, and they usually have to stop things early because they destroy everything. Hang on a second. I got a little bit of a thing. There we go. All right, a little more headroom. I kept banging my head on the ceiling. So lots of goodies going on at the UN, including dealing with Iran. UN to vote on Iran as sanctions. Sanctions loom. They're like, what sanctions are you talking about? They're the snapback. Those snapbacks. The UN Security Council will take up the dispute over Iran's nuclear program today as China and Russia seek to give more time for diplomacy on the eve of new sanctions against Tehran. European powers complaining that Iran has not cooperated have triggered a return of sweeping UN sanctions that are set to go into effect at the end of Saturday. China and Russia will put forward a draft resolution seen by AFP, that's the news outlet doing this story, that would give another 6 months or until April 18th, 2026. The Europeans have moved to snap back sanctions that had been lifted a decade ago after Iran entered an international agreement on its nuclear program negotiated by former President Barack Obama's administration. Yeah, I was back then. When I was president, I didn't have this gray hair. Trumpy withdrew in his first term from the deal, formerly known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or the JCPOA, you know what I'm saying? Streets, and imposed sweeping unilateral U.S. sanctions. The draft resolution, in a reference to the United States, would call on all initial parties to the deal to immediately resume negotiations. Several diplomats voiced doubt that Russia and China would secure the votes of the 9 out of 15 Security Council members needed for passage. French President Emmanuel Macron said Wednesday that Iran could still avoid sanctions, but that it only had hours left. Ooh. You only have hours left, mon frère. Macron met Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly and urged him to reverse a series of steps taken by Tehran following an Israeli and U.S. bombing attack in June. Iran must allow full access to UN nuclear inspectors, immediately resume nuclear negotiations, and offer transparency on highly enriched uranium whose whereabouts have been the subject of speculation, Macron said. The Clintons On Thursday, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi met his British counterpart, Yvette Cooper, to discuss the row. Araghchi. I always want to say the row, and it's like this foreign shit. So you guys say it's a bit of a row, a brouhaha, if you will. Araghchi strongly criticized the position of the 3 European countries is unjustified, illegal, irresponsible, he said. And then he said, peace out, bitches, and then smoked a big fat J out in the parking lot with his homies, with his Iranian homies, his entourage that came with him. Why are you doing this? Stop being the fucking devil. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be that guy. So yeah, Iran so far away. And meanwhile, Zelensky, this guy, look at this fucking posing for school pictures photo right there. Or you know what it looks like? It looks like they took it to the back office of a Target, right? And the manager is like taking pictures of him. They say, look, if you come back, we'll call the police for your thieving ass. That's what it looks like. And none of this shit fits. You know, slope ass shoulders. Look at these fucking shoulders, man. Anyway, that was some mean shit. I'm sorry. Well, not really. So Ukrainian lawn gnome Voldemort Zelensky met with the Syrian lawn gnome Ahmed al-Shura on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly to see which one of them was the worst dressed in New York City, and agreed to restore diplomatic ties between Kiev and Damascus. The Ukrainian military added al-Shura's forces as they overran, the Ukrainian military aided al-Shura's forces as they overran the Syrian government last year. It was nice they could take time out of the Russian stuff to help the Syrian stuff. So I need a leisure suit. I want one. So much. Zelensky held a meeting with al-Shura. A statement from the Ukrainian president's office released on Wednesday. The head of state noted that Ukraine welcomes the restoration of relations with Syria and is ready to support the Syrian people on their path to stability, even though the country's getting carved up into pieces. And don't forget, there's still that Russian base there in Syria. So you're like, you're getting all cozy with Syria, huh? Shura, formerly this guy, fought with Al-Qaeda in Iraq against the U.S. He went on to found Syria's Al-Qaeda affiliate, while Jelani publicly split with him. He remained tied to the jihadist groups. Jelani seized power in Damascus last year after support from the U.S. and its allies, including Ukraine. Kiev sent about 20 drone operators and 150 drones to Jelani to use against the forces loyal to Bashar al-Assad. While attending the UN summit in New York City, Jelani met with Trumpy. He also attended the Concordia summit, where he sat down with retired U.S. Army General David Petraeus. David Petraeus. Oh, David Petraeus. Come on and rock me, David Petraeus. During a friendly conversation with Jelani, Petraeus explained that Jelani fought against U.S. forces in the Iraq War and was imprisoned by the U.S. soldiers. Earlier this year, you met the President of the United States, among many other world leaders. Please help us understand how you got from Al-Qaeda in Iraq 20 years ago to where you are today. Syria's head of state on stage in New York City, the retired general said... And I can answer that with 3 letters, sir. C-I-A. Look at these suits, dude. Look, mommy dressed them for first day of school. Fucking slope ass shoulders, motherfuckers. You got some moobs up here. And what's with the pockets, really? He looks like he's going to one of those Bass outlet stores, right? Like he's going to go get a fishing pole or some shit. Motherfuckers. Bad people, worse fashion. Falco would like his song back. Oh, David Petraeus. Come on and rock me, Mr. Petraeus. I didn't say it. They're not all gems. Well, hardly any of them are gems, actually. Meanwhile, speaking of Russia, Russia is cautions against AI arms race, and this is what I've been talking about sometimes when I say there's a difference between AI and AGI, where AI is just this regular chat GPT shit that's really not connected to anything, or it's not. It's just intended for more consumer kind of type stuff. Whereas artificial general intelligence is something that governments and their people work on, because other governments are working on these governmental AIs, and those are the ones that are like, if they ever get hooked up to the old quantum computer, we're all fucked. So cross your fingers and hope that doesn't happen, at least anytime soon. So Russia cautions against the arms race. So rapid development of artificial intelligence and intensifying global rivalry in the field pose an existential threat to humanity. Russia's deputy ambassador to the UN, Dmitry Polyansky, has warned. Speaking at a UN Security Council briefing on AI Wednesday, Polyansky called for safeguards and regulations as more countries push forward with the technology. An AI race, the ambition to outpace geopolitical rivals by rapidly developing a technology that is not fully understood or controlled without significant AI safety measures for all stakeholders, could, much like an arms race, endanger humanity's very existence, he said, and then he drank a whole bottle of vodka. And then he said, these technologies pose significant risks and are becoming new factors that could affect the stability of the entire system of international relations. That's what it can. If you just rely on AI for everything, then it's Wall-E and we're all flying around in the spaceships, in the fat chairs drinking milkshakes. Polyansky warned that AI tools could sway public opinion and election results by spreading news and fake information on social media, as well as disrupting critical infrastructure. You thought bots were bad before. These would be like souped up bots. You definitely wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them and just a raging asshole. What Polyansky said it's premature to raise the issue at the Security Council, but urged debate in inclusive forums, adding that Russia would support a UN-led role in AI governance. Right? We saw The Matrix, right? Did you ever see the Animatrix? It's like this kind of like this collection of films of animated stories about, but there's one that tells the story about how the Matrix was formed, and basically started off with basically humans, having robots, and the robots had AI and could think for themselves, and people were starting to abuse the robots, and the robots fought back, but they got banished to, I think, Greenland or something like that, somewhere cold, somewhere that's good for the circuits for the robots. So they all went there, and it's just like Battlestar Galactica too. Like 40 years later or something like that, they came back and they had this whole society. They built this, had all this technology, super advanced, and they still wanted to be friends with the human race. And the human race was like, "Oh, that scares the shit out of us. Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it," and then. You know how that goes. Anyway, History of the Matrix on your morning show. You're welcome? ? So UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres echoed the concerns at the briefing, warning that while AI can help tackle food insecurity, demining, and conflict prevention without guardrails, it can also be weaponized. Well, yeah, that's what the AGI is. That's right. He noted that the General Assembly created 2 new AI bodies last month, a global forum and an expert panel to coordinate governance and cooperation. ChatGPT's debut 3 years ago sparked an AI boom, with investors pouring billions into the sector. Public filings show Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, and Alphabet spent tens of billions of dollars this year and plan to invest over $400 billion by 2026. Experts warn the surge could lead to a bubble and trigger a financial crisis, while others say the technology itself poses existential risks, from engineered pandemics to rogue AIs without strict safeguards. And these are the AIs, like I said, that we know about. The government has their own versions that they're working on. Secret, secret, I got a secret. I am the Modern Man. Mr. Roboto? No. Wait, is this next? Really? Okay, yeah. So we head to Africa. Bless the rains down there. Sure as Kilimanjaro rises like Olympus above the Serengeti. We go to Libya with the Libyan leader urges UN to back full sovereignty elections and to foreign interference. So we all remember when Gaddafi was running the show, right? He had the hat and the flowing robes. He kind of looked like Mrs. Roper off of Three's Company. But then you got this guy. Look, he looks like he's like posing for like some sort of Billy Joel album cover shit here with the suit. Anyway, that's a little sidebar. That has nothing to do with this thing. The chairman of Libya's presidential council yesterday urged the international community to support a Libyan-led political process that restores the country's full sovereignty, ends foreign interference, and paves the way for free and transparent elections, and hopefully get rid of the open-air slave markets. Addressing the 80th session of the UN General Assembly, Mohammed al-Menfi said his country must no longer be treated as a battleground for settling scores or exporting crises, but as a nation with the resources, youth, and history to build a modern and democratic state. Yeah, just don't get off the petrodollar, and you get to keep your health there, buddy. He outlined a 4-point plan for moving beyond years of conflict, restoring national sovereignty free from external interference, achieving broad-based consensus through inclusive dialogue inside Libya, unifying sovereign institutions such as security, defense, and financial bodies, and ending the transitional phase with elections based on a clear constitutional framework. What the shit? That doesn't have any corruption in there. What do you do? Any solution that doesn't return ownership of the political process to the Libyan people and doesn't emanate from their free will is doomed to repeat failure, he said. Al-Menfi highlighted efforts to preserve stability and avoid renewed violence, pointing to the October 2020 ceasefire agreement and security arrangements in Tripoli as evidence of progress. He said Libyan blood is a red line, and the country's sovereignty, unity, and social fabric are non-negotiable. Speaking about the Libyan economy, he highlighted the challenges posed by institutional division and the absence of a unified budget, but said the country still has the capacity to play a pivotal role in its own recovery. He called for greater global support for economic development, including through the High Financial Committee and UN cooperation to unify public spending and ensure fair wealth distribution. Turning to the issue of migration, he urged the international community to move away from narrow security responses and adopt a detailed developmental approach in partnership with the African Union. Irregular migration isn't merely a security issue, but a humanitarian challenge rooted in deep economic causes, he said. On Palestine, Al-Menfi condemned the unethical neutrality by some UN member states regarding Israel's war on Gaza, as well as crimes of genocide and blatant violations of international law against the Palestinian people. He called for urgent international action to end the Israeli occupation and secure Palestinian rights. Concluding his address, Al-Menfi urged the world to view Libya as a story of resilience and will, rather than a complicated political problem to avoid. Well, when the United States helps make those political problems. Libya's future is that of a sovereign, stable state, united in its institutions, strong through its people, reconciled with itself, open to the world, and an active partner regionally and internationally, he said. So this is just kind of like a little Libya spotlight at the UN. We had Gaddafi there, and Gaddafi was, of course, not playing. When you don't play ball with the United States, folks, you know what happens. You become a patsy, and you gotta go. We go to off the coast of Africa to Madagascar. As Madagascar imposes a curfew after violent protests against water and power cuts. Here we go. The resource wars and protests and reactions to that are starting to happen. Authorities in Madagascar have imposed a dusk-to-dawn curfew in the capital, Antananarivo, that place, in the capital, following protests against frequent power outages and water shortages that turned violent. Hundreds of protesters took to the streets yesterday to voice their anger over persistent power cuts, which often leave homes and businesses without electricity for 12 hours. Police used rubber bullets and tear gas to quash the demonstrations. The protesters barricaded roads with rocks and burning tires. By Thursday afternoon, there were reported incidents of looting at various retailers, appliance stores, and banks around the 1.4 million strong capital. That's a big place. Several stations for the country's new cable car system were also set on fire. Local media reported on Thursday that 3 homes of politicians known to be close to President Andry Rajoelina were also attacked by protesters. Authorities banned the demonstration on Wednesday, citing the risk of public disorder, and people patrolled the capital in large numbers from early Thursday. There are unfortunately individuals taking advantage of the situation to destroy other people's property. General Angelo Ravolonarivo, that guy, who heads a joint security body that includes the police and the military, said in a statement he read on privately owned Real TV late on Thursday, to protect the population and their belongings. The security forces decided to impose a curfew from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. local time until public order is restored, the statement said. Madagascar, an island nation in the Indian Ocean, is mired in poverty, and some people blame the government of Rajoelina, who was re-elected in 2023, for not improving conditions. Some 75% of the country's estimated 30 million population live below the poverty line in 2022. So that's it's like almost 22 million people live below the poverty line in 2022, according to the World Bank. Water and electricity are basic human needs. Let us speak out. Malagasy people, wake up. These were some of the messages displayed on the protesters' placards. It was unclear how many people were injured during the rallies or whether there were any fatalities. The protest movement, dominated mostly by the youth, started gaining traction a few days ago on social media platforms, mainly Facebook. Probably going to ban Facebook in Madagascar now. In the country's provinces, unrest was also reported at the offices of the National Water and Electricity Company, which is seen by protesters as the root of the country's problems. And then you like to see that it's you don't like to see that, but if you're going to see these protests, you want to see the kids protesting, because this is their future. They're realizing early that their future is going to be fucked if they let all this shit happen now, right? And it's not like, when we were kids and our older parents were like coddling us and not telling us how the world really works and shit like that. Parents these days are like, no, this is how shit works. And that's good. right? You got to have talk with your kids and tell them how fucked up this world is. Don't let them go out there pie in the sky thinking, oh, you know, it's a great big world and I can conquer it. It's like, no, motherfucker, you ain't conquering shit. Desert Mantis and Steve Wolf-Brent together again for the first time. Good to see you live at the Civic Center with special guest Crocus. Anybody else slipped in here? Okay. Hey, we got a good crowd. We got 20 people on YouTube. Very nice. Good to see all y'all. I don't know how many's on the other channels, but if you're watching, good to see you too. We got more news, more bad news. How much more news do we got in here? A few stories. All right. So just because it's fall doesn't mean the hurricanes have gone away, folks. Or typhoons. When you go to South China, they begin cleanup after Typhoon Regasa leaves a trail of destruction. Like peeling off a label off a mayonnaise jar, right? And it just doesn't all peel off all the way. That's what that looks like. Hundreds of thousands of residents in southern China began clearing debris yesterday after Typhoon Regasa swept through Guangdong province, toppling trees, tearing down fences, and ripping signs from buildings. Regasa churned into Guangdong, home to tens of millions of people, with winds of up to 145 kilometers per hour. That's about 90 miles per hour. So it's probably like around a Cat 2. I think a Category 2 hurricane would be the equivalent. On Wednesday, after sweeping past Hong Kong and killing at least 14 in Taiwan, AFP journalists at the impact point around the city of Yangjiang on Thursday saw fallen trees while road signs and debris were strewn across the streets. A light rain and breeze still lingered as residents worked to clean up the damage. However, authorities have not reported any storm-related fatalities. That's good. On Hailing, that looks like hailing, but it's hailing. Okay. Or Hailing, an island administered by Yangjiang. These names are killing me today. Relief workers attempted to clear a huge tree that had fallen across a wide road. Cars drove on muddy tracks to get around the wreckage as the team worked to saw off branches. Yeah, that's some typical like hurricane shit. Down trees everywhere. You got to get them out of the roads and shit. A seafood restaurant had sustained heavy damage. Its back roof completely collapsed, or in parts flown away entirely. The winds were so strong you could see it completely ripped everything apart, said restaurant worker Lin Xiaobing. There's no electricity at home, she said, while helping clear up the mess inside the restaurant, where the floors were covered in water, mud, and debris. Today, some homes still have electricity and others don't. The island is a popular holiday spot, and many locals rely on the tourism industry to make a living. We can't do business here during the National Day, she said, referring to China's annual holiday period centered on October 1st, but that lasts until October 8th. Oh, yeah, so that we call that the first week of Rockfest, man. Rockfest live. We were planning to do some business this National Day to make up for it, she added, but now we may not be able to. Regasa's passage in Taiwan killed at least 14 and injured dozens more, where when a decades-old barrier lake burst in eastern Hualien County, according to regional officials who late Wednesday revised the death toll down from 17 after eliminating duplicate cases. Well, that's good. Counting people twice, that's not very good. Authorities initially said 152 people were unaccounted for, but later made contact with more than 100 of them, and we're still trying to confirm the actual number of missing. The storm made landfall in mainland China near Hailing Island on Wednesday evening. By that point, authorities across China had already ordered businesses and schools to shut down in at least 10 cities across the nation's south, affecting tens of millions of people. I know with good radar technology now, you have plenty of time to prepare for these things. But that's what's good about that technology too, to help people like that, along with stuff like the tsunami warnings and stuff like that. Nearly 2.2 million people in Guangdong were relocated by Wednesday afternoon, but local officials later said several cities in the province started lifting restrictions on schools and businesses. Chinese state broadcaster CCTV said Regasa made its second landfall in Beihai, Guangxi on Thursday morning as a tropical storm. So it's bouncing around there. Chinese authorities earmarked the equivalent of about $49.2 million to support rescue and relief work in regions hit by Typhoon Regasa. Xinhua news agency reported. Hong Kong resumed flights out of its international airport on Thursday after 36-hour suspension, reopening businesses, transportation services, and some schools after the world's most powerful tropical storm cyclone this year lashed the financial hub. And just more people injured in Hong Kong as well. These storms, right? That's the thing. These waters are still hot, and they're still feeding on these hot waters like that, right? This is Zoom.earth. I love Zoom.earth. Let's see if they got precipitation or maybe wind. Okay. Let's just do satellite. Okay, so this is what's going on right here. So this, I believe, this is what's, no, this is another one. So there's another tropical storm over there, the Builo, why Opong? I'm just calling it Opong because that's easier. And that's also in southern China too. So they're going to get hit with a double whammy. You got this shit over here. That just seems like just some shit that's developing. And then back over here, you've got this one here. This is Neoguri tropical storm or tropical typhoon, whatever they call it. And you get back over here in the United States. Look at all this. Look at all this fun stuff. You got Narda out here. It's a Cat 1 over here off the west coast of Mexico. And it looks like it's going to be making an easterly turn by Wednesday next week. And weekend as it gets closer, but I don't know if that's going to be a threat or not. I'm not a meteorologist. I just like looking at shit. Got a little something cooking down there, but this is one here that they're looking at too. This is Umberto. It's a Category 1 right now, but it's still in the Atlantic. And it looks like it's going to make another turn like the last one did that went through there. That massive storm that got up to a Category 5. So it looks like it's going to be hugging around Bermuda up here. And maybe affecting the East Coast with waves and stuff, heavier rain and stuff like that. And then you got this little bastard here. I believe it's heading this way. Yeah. So this was a Category 1, and now it's something else. So, but it looks like it's heading back to Africa. Bless the rains. In Africa. That's your weather update. Sponsored by your local Ford dealership. Sorry, we're not sponsored by anybody. Cowboy Kitty. What's up, Cowboy? Good to see you, buddy. Sorry. Got an itch on my leg. There we go. So you may have heard about this. I don't know. The conspiracy nuts are going to go, and I say conspiracy nuts, and I some of them are nuts, and some of them are very true people. But I just lump them all together because it's much easier to. I don't mean any disrespect, but in order for brevity. So the conspiracy nuts are talking about Captain Haircut, the Hegseth, gathering the generals from all over the world to the Legion of Doom in the swamp there, as U.S. War Chief orders unusual gathering of top generals amid fears of new war. Yeah, maybe. Oh, hang on just a second. I got a leg. There we go. That's the stuff. That's what Daddy likes. I hope everybody's doing okay. U.S. War Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered hundreds of the U.S. military's top leaders to meet on short notice for an unknown reason at a Captain D's all-you-can-eat fish place. No, wait. At a Marine Corps base in Virginia next week. The Washington Post reported yesterday. The Secretary of War will be addressing his senior military leaders early next week, said Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell, who also doubles as the guy who does all the rock concert advertisements live at the Civic Center. The highly unusual directive was sent to virtually all of the military's top commanders worldwide, the newspaper wrote, citing more than a dozen people familiar with the matter. Vidal Baboon. The announcement comes months after Hegseth announced plans to carry out a major consolidation of top military commands. Maybe it's going to be like a dodgeball tournament or something. Hegseth's abrupt calls for such an emergency meeting has led to concerns of a coming conflict. A coming conflict? You mean another coming conflict there? The cradle. A senior Pentagon official said, in my 30 years in the U.S. military, I've never seen anything like this. We might be on the brink of war. I hope it's that big war room that was out of Dr. Strangelove, the big giant circle, big table with just the overhead lights. Stephen Miller's in the chair going, trying to keep from saying Zigha. Hegseth's order reportedly applies to all senior officers with the rank of brigadier general or above. Some 800 commanders, including those stationed throughout Europe, West Asia, and the Pacific. No such meeting to gather so many of the military's generals and admirals has ever occurred, according to the recollection of the Washington Post sources. Several said it raised security concerns. Yeah, all your top generals are going to be in one place. And, The planned emergency meeting comes after legislation was drafted earlier this week that would give Trumpy unchecked power to wage war against drug cartels as well as any nation he says has harbored or aided them, like Antifa, like your Aunt Tifa. If passed, the legislation would allow the U.S. president to deem as terrorists any groups that have trafficked in drugs or financed drug-related enterprises. The president would then have the authorization to use military force against such groups and any governments allegedly harboring them. The draft legislation appears to be modeled on the authorization for the use of military force, or the AUMF, that Congress granted former U.S. President George W. Bush to launch the so-called War on Terror after the 9/11 attacks in 2001. According to political analyst Trita Parsi of the Quincy Institute, Israel is likely to launch another war with Iran before December, which may drag the U.S. into war along with it. Here we go. Israel launched an unprovoked attack on Iran in June, resulting in a 12-day war. You know about the U.S. Military joined the assault, blew up some shit, blew up 3 of Iran's nuclear sites, although they didn't do extensive damage. Although it's unclear how damaged their program was. Iran was able to damage Israel's military capabilities after launching multiple waves of ballistic missiles and drones in response. Yeah, because remember they were throwing trash up in the air, or them or the Houthis. I can't remember. They were putting these trash missiles or something thrown at it, and Israel was using those expensive deterrent rockets, because they were trying to get them to use all their shit up. Parsi writes that Iran is expecting and preparing for the next attack. It played the long game in the first war, pacing its missile attacks as it anticipated a protracted conflict. In the next round, however, Iran is likely to strike decisively from the outset, aiming to dispel any notion that it can be subdued under Israeli military dominance. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean going after civilian targets in Tel Aviv. And when I say civilian targets, that's where the Iron Dome has a lot of their equipment. These defensive weapons are in civilian areas for a reason, because it's like, hey, you're going to bomb civilians, you're a war criminal. It's like, well, yeah, you're anyway. So it'll be interesting to see how Iran responds once they are attacked again. It's not a question of if, really, it's about when. So, meanwhile, here in the United States, old Trumpy, shutdown warning, federal employees could lose jobs. Uh-oh. President Donald Trump's administration has raised the stakes in a showdown with U.S. Senate Democrats over a looming partial government shutdown, threatening to permanently remove workers from some federal agencies if funding runs out next week. So they're playing this bullshit game again. Late Wednesday, the White House's Office of Management and Budget, OMB, which I always confuse with OMD, which is Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, from Pretty in Pink. If you leave, don't look back. OMB, which has played a key role in Trump's campaign to reduce the size of government, sent a memo out to federal agencies. It instructed the departments to identify programs, projects, and activities where discretionary funding will lapse on October 1st, if the U.S. Congress does not pass legislation to keep the federal government open. Programs that did not benefit from an infusion of mandatory appropriations will bear the brunt of a shutdown, it said. So if you didn't get no money, you fight. Yeah, you fight. The memo, which the White House shared with the media, told agencies to submit their proposed reduction in force plans to the OMB and to issue notices to employees if they are ultimately shut down. The federal government is on the brink of its 15th partial shutdown since 1981 because lawmakers are fucking psychopaths and have failed to agree on a plan for discretionary funding for the new fiscal year, or about 1/4 of the $7 trillion budget. On September 19th, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives passed a stopgap bill to fund the government through November 21st. Senate Democrats rejected it, demanding that any legislation undo recent cuts to health care programs. This is an attempt at intimidation, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said in response to the OMB memo. Donald Trump has been firing federal workers since day one, not to govern, but to scare you. He's trying to scare you in your panties and your little tootsies. Struggling off the threat of mass firings is a change in approach for Democrats compared to earlier this year when a shutdown was avoided. Since the first week of the Trump administration, Schumer has railed against OMB leader Russ Vought, calling his plans dangerous to working people and to the U.S. Trump has waged a campaign to reduce the 2.4 million member federal civilian workforce since January. And then that idiot Doge shit was doing that too. Roughly 300,000 federal civilian workers will have left their jobs by the end of 2025. Office of Personnel Management Director Scott Cooper told the Reuters news agency in August about 154,000 of those employees accepted buyouts and will drop off the U.S. government's payroll on September 30th, the last day of the government's fiscal year, and the day before October begins. When Congress faced a funding fight in March, Schumer and top Democrats worried about how Trump could use a government shutdown to propel the downsizing of the federal government. Well, he was pretty telegraphing that thing the whole time. Schumer voted with 9 other Senate Democrats in March to deliver the necessary votes to pass stopgap funding. Many rank-and-file Democrats, including leaders in the House, criticized leaders for failing to stand up to the Republican administration. What? Democrats failing to stand up to Republicans? Isn't that part of the dance? That's part of the script. Republican leaders so far held off negotiating with Democrats. These dedicated workers have nothing to do with the ongoing political and policy disputes that have brought us to the brink of a shutdown. Senator Chris Van Hollen, who one of the lost Von Hollen brothers, R.I.P. King Eddie. I'm sorry, that's Van Halen. A Maryland Democrat who represents many federal workers near the nation's capital said in a statement he called Trump's threat mafia-style blackmail. Yeah, that sounds about right. So, really, in federal, I can understand if you have like some real bloated bullshit government programs that do maybe some good for like a fraction of the population for some bullshit reasons, right? You've seen all these studies that are funded for just silly reasons, nothing scientific, just bloated, pork-filled, stuff for your buddies kind of shit. When you can start getting that corruption out of your government, maybe you can start taking your government a little more seriously. But until then, I would not do that. Meanwhile, we got a couple of crime stories for you. We got crime stories for you. I don't know I'm doing a Scottish accent, but we got crime stories for you, lads and lassies. All right, the first one is James Comey, this bag of assholes. Ex-FBI Chief James Comey to be indicted within days. It's coming, champion. Former FBI Director James Comey is expected to soon be indicted on charges of lying to Congress, because that's perjury, folks, and perjury in federal court. Ooh, that's a bad thing. According to a media report published on Wednesday, Comey will be indicted within the coming days in federal court in the Eastern District of Virginia. Television network MSNBC reported, citing 3 anonymous sources familiar with the matter. The full extent of the charges being prepared against Comey is unclear, but the sources believe that at least one element of the indictment, if it goes forward, will accuse him of lying to Congress during his testimony on September 30th, 2020, about whether he authorized the leak of information. MSNBC reporter Ken Delanian retweeted. I think they're MS something else now. Or there's something, yeah, they did a name change, right? But they're still calling themselves that. Delanian said the 5-year statute limits on the charge of lying to Congress is set to elapse on Tuesday. The indictment comes just 5 days after former U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, Eric Siebert, resigned. Siebert reportedly made the decision after coming under pressure for opposing the Comey indictment, according to MSNBC. He didn't quit. I fired him. Next time, let him go in as a Democrat, not a Republican, Trump said Saturday on Truth Social. So you got this guy. Now we go across the pond to France, and French ex-president Sarkozy sentenced to 5 years in prison in a Libya campaign financing case. So Libya a little bit more relevant today because of this. So a court yesterday sentenced former French President Nicolas Sarkozy to 5 years in prison over a scheme for late Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi to fund his 2007 presidential run. In a verdict that will make the right-winger the first French post-war leader to serve jail time, the Paris Criminal Court convicted Sarkozy on criminal conspiracy charges. However, it acquitted the former head of state, France's president from 2007 to 2012, of corruption and personally accepting illegal campaign financing. Somebody made a deal. The court ordered that Sarkozy should be placed in custody at a later date, with prosecutors to inform him on October 13th when he should go to prison. He was also fined $117,000 or 100,000 euros and banned from holding public office. He has been convicted already in 2 separate trials, but always avoided jail, in one case serving his graft sentence with an electronic tag, which has since been removed. Sarkozy, who was present in court for the verdict, accompanied by his model and musician wife, Carla Bruni Sarkozy, as well as his 3 sons, looked ashen-faced and shaken after the verdict, but he vowed to appeal, and his lawyer, Christophe Ingrain, later confirmed one had been filed. The verdict was extremely serious for the rule of law, Sarkozy told some reporters after leaving the courtroom, adding that he would sleep in prison with my head held high. This injustice is a scandal. And he also said, I didn't know those were cats, Your Honor. I thought they were skunks. And he's like, well, yeah, well, you were still like harassing them, you asshole. Because he thought his Pepe Le Pew reference. That was probably unnecessary. After her husband finished addressing reporters, Bruni Sarkozy, in a sign of the family's anger, snatched away the microphone muffler of the Mediapart news website, which had published the first revelations on the case. Oh, the little top. Took you away, buddy. There's eyes on the other side if you didn't know that, but that's for another show. Sarkozy will have to serve his sentence while awaiting the outcome of his appeal. He's the first French leader to be incarcerated since Philippe Pétain, the Nazi collaborationist head of state of France's Vichy regime, who was jailed after World War II. Prosecutors argued Sarkozy and his aides, acting with his authority and in his name, struck a deal with Gaddafi in 2005 to illegally fund his victorious presidential election bid 2 years later. The public prosecutor accused Sarkozy of entering into a Faustian pact of corruption with one of the most unspeakable dictators of the last 30 years. Investigators believe that in return, Gaddafi was promised help to restore his international image after Tripoli was blamed by the West for bombing a plane in 1988 over Lockerbie, Scotland, and another over Niger in 1989, killing hundreds of passengers. The presiding judge, Natalie Gavarino, said the offenses were of exceptional gravity. The court's ruling, however, did not follow the conclusion of prosecutors that Sarkozy was the beneficiary of the illegal campaign financing. He was acquitted on separate charges of embezzlement of Libyan public funds, passive corruption, and illicit financing of an electoral campaign. Another defendant in the trial, Alexandre Jouri, who is accused of being the intermediary in the scheme, was sentenced to 6 years in order to be placed immediately under arrest. Sarkozy's right-hand man, Claude Goutte, and ex-minister Brice Hortefeux were ordered to serve 6 and 2 years respectively. Hortefeux will be able to serve his term with an electronic tag, while Goutte will not go to prison due to his health, and he's 80 years old too. Hortefeux told BFM TV he was angry at the sentence. He said, I was shaking my fist. Eric Wirth, Sarkozy's 2007 campaign treasurer, was acquitted. How much more is this? Okay, there's just one more. Sorry. The judgment came 2 days after the death of in Beirut of Franco-Lebanese businessman Ziad Taqiyuddin, a key accuser in the case. He had claimed several times he helped deliver up to 5 million euros, about $6 million, in cash from Gaddafi to Sarkozy and the former president's chief of staff in 2006 and 2007. He then spectacularly retracted his claims before contradicting his own retraction. I've heard something like that recently, prompting the opening of another case against both Sarkozy and Bruni Sarkozy on suspicion of pressuring a witness. Sarkozy has faced repercussions beyond the courtroom, including losing his Legion of Honor, France's highest distinction, following the graft conviction. No honor. How about that? The French really just they're like, you know what? you don't get any honor. Let's take your shit away. But he still enjoys considerable influence and popularity on the French right and has on occasion had private meetings with President Emmanuel Macron. Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau, who leads Sarkozy's right-wing Republican Party, expressed his full support and friendship, adding he had no doubt the ex-president will devote all his energy to defending himself on appeal. Sarkozy. He'll be nice and Sarkozy in that jail cell. Man, I almost hit like 8 buttons. I don't know what was going to happen there. Such your news block. How's everybody doing? Nomen nudum. More nomen nudum. If I say that right, nomen nudum. I like that. I like playing with my lips. No nudum. Okay. Yeah, so we got a pretty good bit here in the old propaganda watch. In fact, I thought, who is it? Anonymous? You were talking about Starmer and digital ID plans. Well, him and his robot hair. That fucking Max Headroom Dollar Tree looking motherfucker. He may just make that happen.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets are true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
So UK Starmer to press ahead with digital ID plans. Financial Times reports, peace, Dove, what's up? Good to see you. Peace and prosperity to you, my friend. There he is. Look at him. Look at that robot-looking ass motherfucker. That guy. Built in the lab. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is moving forward with plans to introduce digital identification systems as part of efforts to overhaul the country's asylum and immigration system. Yeah, that's what it is, baby. With an announcement anticipated as early as his party's conference this month, the Financial Times reported today the finer details of the scheme were still being ironed out and the timeline could change, the report added, citing 2 people briefed on the matter. Immigration and asylum remain at the heart of Britain's political debate, with the government under pressure to curb record migrant arrivals in small boats. I believe they're coming across the Strait of Gibraltar there. While also addressing the strain of housing tens of thousands of asylum seekers. One option under consideration would give digital IDs to all people legally entitled to reside in Britain, whether citizens or those with legal immigration status, the Financial Times said. The digital ID could be used for employment verification and rental agreements, though the government may still narrow the scope or revisit the plan, the newspaper added. A government spokesperson said Britain was committed to expanding the use of technology to make it easier for people to access services, pointing to existing systems such as e-visas and the NHS app, which also means they have access to your services, which means your information. You're serving up your information for them. We will look at any serious proposals that will help people access public services, including digital ID. Yeah, it's all about the people, the spokesperson said in a statement. Yeah, so digital IDs by broke-ass flock of seagulls, Harry Potter-looking motherfucker here. And they want to do that in the United States, too. They want to do that here. The real ID, I'm not getting that real ID. I have to get a Chicago ID, and I'm working on that right now. And it's a boondoggle of paperwork that you have to do. And I'm a born in this country citizen kind of person. I know I look kind of Caspery looking there. Sorry. And I can't imagine, and it seems, and it's more difficult to get the real ID too. Apparently, you have to provide even more information But fortunately here right now in Illinois, it's an option. And I think the federal buildings here, because you need it to fly and you need it to get into certain federal buildings or something. But I think the federal buildings here in Chicago are like, yeah, the regular ID is fine. We're not doing that real ID bullshit, which is good. Because and I don't fly. I don't like to fly. I'll take a train. But I'm not scared of flying, although I should be these days with all these crashes. But it's just too cramped, right? It's just, I'm 6'4". I can, even in the exit row, it's still, and then you're just jammed in with all these people. No. At least with the train, you can get up, you can move around, you can go to other cars that don't have any people in it, that kind of thing. But a plane, you're just like, you're right in there. What's our next item up for bids? I always go off on these tangents. Oklahoma, where the bullshit swiftly down the drain. I made that part up. I don't think that's part of the song. But Oklahoma is threatening public schools. Accreditation, they're threatening their accreditation unless they set up Turning Point USA chapters in Oklahoma. Public high schools in Oklahoma are being ordered to partner with Turning Point USA, the right-wing group founded by activist Charlie Kirk, and threatened with being stripped of their accreditation if they don't comply. We told you, what was it, maybe Tuesday, that some of these Turning Point USA centers, they're trying to turn into like military recruitment centers. It's getting stupid out there, folks. I mean, it's been stupid. What's up, Chris? Good to see you. Yeah, you don't have to do the face scan at the airport either. Ukraine has a digital government documents program where called DILA, where all the documents you need related to government are handled digitally. I mean, I appreciate the convenience of it, but it's just it's like having a whole bunch of generals in one place. Probably not a good idea to have all your information, easily in one place like that too. So Ryan Waters, the state superintendent of public instruction, released a video address on Tuesday saying that every Oklahoma high school will have a Turning Point USA chapter. This is like the anti-tourism videos that Oklahoma puts out. We don't want you here unless you're already here. Or unless you relate to somebody from here, then y'all come. For far too long, we have seen radical leftists with teachers' unions dominate classrooms and push woke indoctrination on our kids, Walters said in the video posted to social media. Ding. We spit into the spittoon. The state-mandated chapters of Club America, Turning Point's high school program, will ensure students are indoctrinated into the Nazi program. The Nazi youth. Is that right? No, wait. Will ensure students understand American greatness while enabling them to engage in civic dialogue and have that open discussion, said Waters, who also announced on Thursday that he would resign to join the nonprofit anti-union group Teacher Freedom Alliance. Turning Point has claimed that since Kirk was fatally shot earlier this month at a debate event the group was holding at Utah Valley University, it has received a massive surge of inquiries to start new chapters of Club America. But Walters has evidently seen fit to threaten schools if they don't partner with the organization, despite the reports of organic interest. He told reporter Paige Taylor of KOKH Fox 25, that's KOKH, Oklahoma's Fox 25. We would go after their accreditation. We would go after their certificates. They would be in danger of not being a school district if they decided to reject a club that is here to promote civil engagement. Since Kirk's killing, Walters has focused intently on rooting out teachers and school administrators who have not displayed mourning for the activist. So his rooting out teachers and school administrators who didn't cry when Charlie Kirk died. Wow. On September 17th, his office said it had received hundreds of reports of schools and educators displaying vile rhetoric promoting the killing. Oh, that dirty free speech, that dirty, dirty free speech, y'all. The press release listed 224 reports of defamatory comments, as well as 30 reports of schools not observing a moment of silence, and three of the schools refusing to fly their flag at half staff. This is some crazy shit. Kirk mobilized young conservatives and engaged in debates on college campuses regarding abortion rights, immigration, and other political issues and events. And on his podcast, he promoted the white supremacist view that a great replacement strategy was underway via immigration policy, and claimed prowling blacks, quote, the prowling blacks target white people with violence in cities. Walters has spent much of his time as a state superintendent pushing for Oklahoma's public schools to include Christian and right-wing beliefs in their teachings, calling on schools to display a video of him praying. Procuring President Donald Trump branded Bibles after mandating biblical lessons, screening teachers for liberal viewpoints. I wonder how that goes. And pushing for high school social studies teachers to include debunked conspiracy theories about election fraud in the 2020 election in their lessons plans, although not all of that was debunked there. After Walters announced his plan to mandate the establishment of Turning Point USA chapters at high schools, a number of observers noted that the superintendent has presided over a school system that is ranked 50th nationwide in terms of education quality. Oklahoma. There he is. Look at him. Look at those soft eyes. Look at him. He just wants Turning Point USA, baby. Please. For the childrens. Yeah. Some crazy shit. What else we got here? Here's some fear mongering. You ready? Nearly 80% say U.S. in political crisis, fear violence ahead. This is a poll. Quinnipiac poll. Nearly 80% of voters believe the U.S. is in a political crisis, and more than half fear political violence will intensify in the coming years, according to a new Quinnipiac University poll published on September 24th. I guess this isn't really fear-monger. It's just kind of telling you what's already happening. Right? What's good? You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Joe? The survey found that 79% of voters said the country is in political crisis, while only 18% disagreed. Along party lines, 93% of Democrats and 60% of Republicans agreed with the statement. Ooh, 60%. The Quinnipiac poll was conducted from September 18th to the 21st and surveyed 1,276 registered voters nationwide. From a perceived assault on freedom of speech to the fragility of the democracy, a shudder of concern and pessimism rattles a broad swath of the electorate, said Quinnipiac polling analyst Tim Malloy in the report announcing the poll. Nearly 80% of registered voters feel they are witnessing a political crisis. 7 in 10 say political violence is a very serious problem, and a majority say this discord won't go away anytime soon. The poll comes in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, whose killing at the school has amplified national anxieties. The survey revealed that 71% of respondents see politically motivated violence as a very serious problem, compared to 54% in a June poll. Another 22% said it was a somewhat serious problem. The Kirk assassination lays bare raw bipartisan concerns about where the country is headed. Yeah, for regular ass people. Every day we say, what the fuck's going on here? Stephanie spoke in class today. What's up, Steph? Booyah. Right? Since Kirk's death, Trump administration officials have blamed left-wing extremism, with no evidence, of course, using the Israeli playbook there. Acting as guest host of the Charlie Kirk Show, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance claimed without evidence that people on the left are much likelier to defend and celebrate political violence. Vance added, while our side of the aisle certainly has its crazies, it is a statistical fact that most of the lunatics in American politics today are proud members of the far left. Research, however, indicates that right-wing extremist groups have been responsible for more politically motivated killings in recent decades than any other ideological movement. Vance also linked without proof a recent attack on an ICE facility in Dallas to a violent left-wing extremist, though officials have not identified a motive and no agents were injured. The Quinnipiac survey highlights widespread voter pessimism. 54% of respondents expect political violence in the U.S. to worsen, while 27% believe it will remain the same, and only 14% expect it to ease. Additionally, 58% said they do not believe it's possible to lower the temperature on divisive political rhetoric, while 34% were more optimistic. 34%. Concerns extend beyond violence to broader democratic values. More than half of voters, 53%, said they were pessimistic about the protection of free speech in the United States, while 43% were optimistic. That's still too high. That shouldn't be that high. That many people shouldn't be optimistic. From a perceived assault on freedom of speech to the fragility of democracy, a shudder of concern and pessimism rattles a broad swath of the electorate, Malloy said. So, yeah, that old watering the tree of liberty, those cats who talk like that, and before you were like, oh, man, you crazy watering trees. But now it's like, oh, shit, it may be that time, brother man. It may be that time. I don't like violence, but I'm not advocating for it. I would like to think of that as a last resort, but sometimes it is you have to resort to it. Just be careful. Make sure you are very justified in what you're doing too, because they're coming after everybody. All right, y'all heard about TikTok. Let's talk a little bit about that. As Trump signs TikTok order, critics sound alarm over corruption and U.S. propaganda. So Trump yesterday issued an executive order claiming to save TikTok from a federal law that would ban the video sharing platform in the U.S., but critics are condemning the Republicans' deal as yet another case of him picking winners and losers in government policy based on who is enriching his family. Well, yeah, that's the whole theme of the Trump presidency. Make money, make money, 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 make money, money, make money, money, money. I mean, he's been transparent about that this whole time. Trump initially kicked off efforts to force TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance to divest with an August 2020 executive order, but Democratic former President Joe Biden, Mr. Autosign, signed the bipartisan legislation with his autosign that would ban the platform based on national security concerns last year. National security. Since returning to office, Trump has pledged to save TikTok, delaying enforcement of the law and negotiating a deal under which, according to a White House fact sheet, the U.S. application will be majority owned by U.S. investors, operated in the U.S. by a board of directors with national security and cybersecurity credentials, ex-spooks, and subject to strict rules to protect America's data and our national security. Propaganda. Your TikTok's about to turn it. If you thought it was bad now, you thought your shit getting banned on TikTok is bad now. Ooh. It about to get cray. Fact sheet also confirmed that ByteDance will hold less than 20% of the stock as required by law. And Oracle, one of the nation's leading technology companies, will act as TikTok's security provider and independently monitor and assure the safety of all operations in the U.S. Critics have expressed alarm about both the anticipated quality of the U.S. platform and the reported investors. Open Secrets noted yesterday that Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison is, quote, a Trump supporter and major bankroller of Republican candidates and causes, and the company has spent at least $11 million on federal level government lobbying during each of the past full 4 years, a trend that is set to continue this year. Citing unnamed sources, CNBC reported Thursday that in addition to Oracle, the main investors will be Silver Lake and Abu Dhabi's MGX. Previous reporting had also suggested involvement from venture capitalist Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz. While some opponents of the Trump plan have highlighted his ties to Ellison, Andreessen, and Horowitz, Tony Kark, executive director of the watchdog group Accountable USA, or Accountable US, focused on his relationship with MGX in a Thursday statement. Trump's use of his office to enrich himself and his friends seems to know no bounds, Kark said. His grand scheme to save TikTok just so happens to involve the enrichment of one of his major crypto business partners that generates tens of millions of dollars a year for the Trump family. That's no coincidence for the only U.S. president in history that has seen his bottom line grow by billions from the White House. Obama. Obama made some money in the White House. I'm pretty sure they all. If Nancy's making that much cash, come on. So meanwhile, working Americans see their costs continue to increase from groceries to health care to housing. It's clear the president's priority is himself, not the rest of us. Trump's Thursday order affirms that the deal complies with last year's law and allows another 120 days to finalize the details. The AP reported that Trump said Thursday that Chinese leader Xi Jinping has agreed to move forward with it. However, the Chinese embassy in Washington didn't immediately respond to an AP inquiry seeking confirmation that China had formally signed off on the proposed framework deal. U.S. political leaders have long claimed that under ByteDance's control, users may encounter content favored by the Chinese government. Yeah, right. All that freedom shit that you're seeing on there. The Electronic Frontier Foundation, or F, that's probably not what they go by, said earlier this week that if the concern had been that TikTok could be a conduit for Chinese government propaganda, a concern the Supreme Court declined to even consider, people can now be concerned that TikTok could be a conduit for U.S. government propaganda. Yeah, that's what it is. You're trading one propaganda for another. Joining Trumpy in the Oval Office for the executive order signing on Thursday was his manservant, J.D. Vance. He seemed to confirm that's the plan, telling reporters the U.S. company will have control over how the algorithm pushes content to users, and that was a very important part of it. The U.S. company will have control how the algorithm pushes. That's the thing right there. He just said it. The company will have control over how the algorithm pushes content to users. Yeah, so they're going to be, it's going to be fuckery. Free speech is going to be dead. If it's just a limp body right now with a pulse on TikTok, it's going to be graveyard dead. Responding to Vance's remarks, one social media user quipped, so it was just an issue of whose propaganda? Exactly. Whose propaganda will you get on your TikTok? I don't know. I like to post some goofy stuff sometimes on TikTok. I'm not a real big TikTok guy. Some people love it, but unfortunately, it ain't going to be as free as you thought it was. Or at least what you were used to. Like I said, even that wasn't doing that very much. Meanwhile, speaking of lifting their bullshit, YouTube decided to reinstate accounts banned over COVID and 2020 election. How about that? The vaccine is safe and effective. YouTube will allow creators banned under its COVID-19 and 2020 election misinformation policies to apply for reinstatement. Lawyers for parent company Alphabet told the U.S. House Judiciary Committee, bless you, on Tuesday. The platform, owned by Google and used by more than 2 billion people worldwide, imposed sweeping rules during the pandemic, removing videos that contradicted public health authorities on vaccines, transmission, and treatments. After the 2020 election, it also banned claims of widespread voter fraud following the certification of Joe Biden's victory. The restrictions resulted in bans on several figures from Trump's administration who challenged the official narratives on the pandemic and the election. Among those banned were current FBI Deputy Director Chef Boy Bongino and Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Chanda. I don't like doing that voice. That's very harsh. Although YouTube later dropped both policies, it left the bans in place permanently. Yeah, what's his name? Alex Jones, too. I want to come back to YouTube. I'm tired of eating red meat over here on Rumble. I want to come back to YouTube. I love my wife. I love YouTube. Let me come back to YouTube. And YouTube said, no, sir. Not going to happen. Alphabet said the new policy would now give banned creators the option to reapply for access. Today, they're like, because Rumble's starting to kick their ass, I think. And I'm not a super fan of Rumble. I use it for what I use it for, because I think there's good communities on Rumble, and they're looking for more common sense kind of shows like this and not so much into the garbage shit. At least I hope so. Today, YouTube's community guidelines allow for a wider range of content regarding COVID and election integrity. Daniel Donovan, a lawyer representing Alphabet, wrote in a letter, reflecting the company's commitment to free expression, YouTube will provide an opportunity for all creators to rejoin the platform. And this is where those motherfuckers should get some. This is where a class action lawsuit should happen for content creators who lost like a shit ton of money from YouTube because they got banned because of this shit, and now they're reinstating it. They should totally do that. I would hope so anyway, because fuck them. And this needs to be a broader issue too. Reflecting the company's commitment to free expression, Jesus Christ, YouTube will provide an opportunity for all creators to rejoin the platform. Come back. We're sorry we pissed you off with this bullshit. He clarified that the new review process will only apply to bans related to COVID-19 and 2020 election, without specifying which accounts qualify or when reinstatements will begin. Alphabet also acknowledged that YouTube had faced pressure from the Biden administration to remove posts that did not necessarily violate the platform's rules. Yeah, calling such interference unacceptable and wrong, the company emphasized that it consistently fought against those efforts on free speech grounds, but did not confirm whether any bans had been made under direct orders from the administration. Yeah, they did. That's the spoiler alert. Yes, they did. The announcement comes in response to a Trump administration investigation into whether social media firms suppress speech at Biden's request. Trump has long accused platforms of silencing conservative voices critical of lockdowns and vaccines. Since his return to office, several major platforms have eased their restrictions. Meta and Elon Musk's Twitter have scaled back fact-checking programs and introduced community notes to provide additional context instead of outright removal. See, this is the thing, right? So all these platforms like Twitter and all this shit, they're all geared to like whoever's in charge, right? If it's the fucking liberals, they'll do all this suppression and shit. And then when it's Trumpy, they'll do all this shit, but then they'll give you all this information too, that misinformation. House Judiciary Chair and Human Thumbnail Jim Jordan welcomed Alphabet's move, calling it a victory in the fight against censorship in a statement on the tweeters. No one will tell Americans what to believe or not to believe anymore, he said. Yeah. Oh, you sweet summer child, you let me pat you on your head because you are precious. So Western news agencies demand Israel grant international journalists access to Gaza. Open up, bitch. Let's see what you got. Yeah, okay. All right. The world's most prominent news agencies released a short film and a joint statement on September 25th, which was yesterday, calling on Israel to allow international journalists into Gaza to report on the horrors of the ongoing war. The video, produced on behalf of the BBC, Reuters, AP, and AFP, features iconic photos and clips of news reports from previous wars over the past century, alongside the message that history is told by those who report it. The world ignored Rwanda until reporters revealed thousands a day were being massacred. The report of a child's body washed up on a beach revealed the stark reality of the Syrian refugee crisis. In Ukraine, journalists from around the world risked their lives every day to report the suffering of the people. BBC journalist David Dimbleby narrates. Dimbleby of the Fartham Dimblebees. I don't know what that means. But when it comes to Gaza, the job of reporting falls solely to Palestinian journalists who are paying a terrible cost. Yeah, they're getting capped left and right, leaving fewer to bear witness. Dimbleby states, as photos of the devastation from Gaza are shown, the Israeli government will not allow international reporters into Gaza to do their work and to document freely what they see. International journalists must now be allowed into Gaza to share the work with Palestinian reporters there, so we can all bring the facts to the world, he concludes. The truth. Since Israel began its genocide of Palestinians in Gaza recently in October 2023, it has blocked access for foreign news correspondents unless they are embedded with the Israeli army. If you're friends of Israel, you can come on in. Their reports are then reviewed and approved by Israel's military censor before publication. The only democracy in the Middle East. And perhaps the only exception, CNN journalist Clarissa Ward briefly entered Gaza via Rafah in a convoy of UAE medical volunteers in December 2023. As foreign news agencies relied on local journalists to produce reports on the ground, the Israeli military has mercilessly targeted them for assassination. According to Reporters Without Borders, at least 210 Palestinian journalists have been killed by the Israeli army in Gaza since the war began nearly 23 months ago. At least 56 of them were intentionally targeted by the Israeli army or killed while doing their job. This ongoing massacre of Palestinian journalists requires a large-scale operation, highly visible to the general public. Yeah, you need more eyes on it, more sunshine, as it were. On August 10th, an Israeli strike targeting Al Jazeera correspondent Anas al-Sharif killed him and 5 other reporters. In a message written by Sharif on April 6th to be published in the event of his death, he shared that he lived the pain in all its details and tasted grief and loss repeatedly. Despite that, I never hesitated to convey the truth as it is without distortion or misrepresentation, hoping that God would witness those who remained silent, those who accepted our killing, and those who suffocated our very breaths, he said. 2 weeks after Sharif's death, an Israeli double-tap strike killed 20 people, including 5 journalists, on a balcony at the Nasser Hospital in Gaza. The balcony was used to access a stronger internet signal and for an elevated view of Khan Yunis. After several people were killed in the first strike, rescuers rushed to help. The Israeli Air Force then unleashed a second strike targeting the crowd. As we were evacuating the injured while the civil defense and emergency workers were present, the staircase was targeted for the second time. Reuters journalist Hatem Sadiq Omar told CNN Sadiq himself was injured in the strike and spoke with CNN from a hospital bed. There were journalists, patients, nurses, civil defense were on the stairs. We were directly targeted. And that's what Israel does. They don't want you to know. Why do you think all this censorship's going on? They don't want people protesting in the streets and calling attention to Gaza, right? The Palestine action in the UK has been deemed a terrorist organization. This ain't tinfoil hat shit for some people. This is all conspiracy nonsense. No, it's not conspiracy nonsense. This is some in your face, everyday shit. This is some facts, right? And people are reporting this shit. These multiple outlets are reporting stuff like this, and we still don't have regular ass journalists in there. It's just the Palestinians that are in there. And you know, Israel's they're not going to report anything fair out of there. That's the biggest propaganda machine on the planet. Our populations can't handle the truth. Yeah, kind of. We have friends that need help in this space, but I wanted to show you this one first because it relates to one of our friends here, or at least a friend of a friend. Excuse me. ICE detained lawful U.S. resident based on his perceived ethnicity, and I guess this is spurned a class action lawsuit. A new class action lawsuit is accusing immigration enforcement officials of arresting and detaining residents in Washington, D.C. without probable cause and based primarily on their perceived ethnicity. The complaint, which was filed on Thursday in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, alleges that ICE agents in Washington, D.C. have engaged in a pattern indiscriminately arresting local residents whom they perceive to be Latino without warrants or probable cause. That's the IDF way of doing things. Warrants, probable cause. What are you drinking? The lead plaintiff in the case is Jose Escobar Molina, a 47-year-old man who was born in El Salvador but has lived legally in Washington, D.C. for more than 2 decades after being granted temporary protected status, TPS, in 2001. Do you get those TPS reports done? According to the complaint, Escobar Molina was accosted last month by plainclothed and unidentified federal agents who handcuffed him and arrested him without a warrant and without asking for his name, his identification, or anything about his immigration status. They just scooped him up. Escobar Molina was subsequently detained overnight at an ICE facility in Virginia before a supervisor ordered him released after learning he had a valid TPS. However, the complaint says that being detained without a warrant for no apparent reason other than his ethnicity, in addition to violating the law, has left psychological scars on Escobar Molina as he now fears being arrested and detained again while going about his daily life in D.C. Right? Putting that's what all of these ICE arrests are designed to do, is to put the fear into people, keep them afraid. It's easier to control people when they're afraid. The lawsuit goes on to document the experiences of several other Washington, D.C. residents, many of whom have pending asylum claims, who were similarly taken off the streets and detained by agents who presented no arrest warrants. Because of the widespread nature of the arrest, those who live and work in D.C., particularly those of Latino ethnicity, face a substantial risk that they will be subjected to unlawful warrantless arrests in the near future, the complaint argues. The complaint concludes by accusing ICE agents of violating federal law, stating that they may only make a warrantless immigration arrest if they have probable cause to believe that the person being arrested is, quote, in violation of any immigration law or regulation, quote, and if they are, quote, likely to escape before a warrant can be obtained, quote, for their arrest. And I think that's what they're doing in the latter. We're just scooping them up and asking questions later. You can't do that. It then asked the court to enjoin ICE's policy and practice of making warrantless immigration arrests without making a pre-arrest individualized assessment of probable cause that the person is illegally in the U.S. Ama Frimpong, legal director at immigrant and working class advocacy organization CASA, said that her organization signed on to be a plaintiff in the lawsuit because its own members had suffered under ICE's warrantless arrest policies. CASA members who live and work in D.C. are being targeted by immigration officials simply for existing, she explained. With this lawsuit, our members are making it clear they have had enough of the federal government's lawlessness and abuse of power. They will not be intimidated or silenced. They will continue to fight until the government is held accountable. Aditi Shah, staff attorney with the ACLU of the District of Columbia, expressed support for the lawsuit and said that ICE's warrantless arrest policy has disrupted everyday life in D.C. while also ignoring important limits Congress has established for immigrant arrests. So, and that leads to an update from our buddy Cowboy Kitty, his friend Natalia. So an update, as Natalia's latest immigration hearing, she broke down and started crying, begging to receive bail for the nonviolent misdemeanor she has been accused but not convicted of, with no criminal history, and she was here legally. The judge got upset at her for crying and denied it. She's been held for almost 3 months now by ICE and is not a flight risk or danger to anyone. Her mental and physical health is deteriorating every day. Please share and donate if you can. And she has the GoFundMe. All of these links, by the way, that I'll be talking about are in the description down below here on YouTube. Should be on Rumble and Facebook as well. Please, if you don't have the cash, if you can at least share out the links, that would be appreciated as well. So this is her right here, Natalia. She's a fellow trucker. Cowboy Kitty's big trucker friend of ours. And so, yeah, got her on some bullshit moving violation thing that wasn't a thing. And she's been railroaded. So their goal, they got a $4,500 goal right now. They've raised $1,624. So yeah, if you can help out, we'd really appreciate that too. Of course, our buddy Chanda over the Trailer Park Pundit, you know, Beauty and the Boomer. My recent MRI confirmed that my cancer has spread further. There are now multiple tumors in my liver, 10 spots in total, in addition to the cancer that has already returned to my lung and spread to my bones. This means that my illness is progressing, and you hate to hear that. I know back in the day when something came back, when a cancer came back, it usually wasn't a good sign, but there have been so many advances with cancer treatments and stuff. I think if she can get the cash to do it, she's a tough chick. She's Gen X, right? There's some tough motherfuckers in this space. So this is her GoFundMe too. So Stand with Shanda's round 2 cancer battle. She, like I said, all the links are down below. If you want to donate or share out the links. And also our buddy Kevin, too, his GoFundMe, because he, if you don't know by now, he lost his home in the LA fires, right? And so he's trying to bounce back from that. So if you can help him out, again, either cash or if you can send out the links, all of those are down below. And we really appreciate any help that you can do for our friends in this space who do good work. And, we just need to spread the word to as many people as possible that, hey, help our friends, so we can be stronger together, because, they provide quality entertainment and quality information, and they're good people too, and they've been hit with some really hard shit, and they're our friends as well. So anything you can do. What's up, Yonina? My stomach was like, wake up, bitch. It's 5 this morning. Still a bit rumbly, literally, with the shits today. Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. That's what Kool-Aid said. Rodney Letman. Hello, Rodney. Well, you said ICE is now allowed to arrest people based on their race, manner of speech, speaking with an accent, speaking a foreign language. The Supreme Court made this policy. Yeah, that's right. That happened like a few weeks ago, too. Yeah, or anything. And now this Antifa bullshit, too. Oh, she's your sister-in-law? Okay, Kawa. I knew I didn't know what your relation was. So, yeah, of course, man, no problem. I hope she gets the help that she needs. That because this being in jail shit is just. This is just one of many that's probably going to be happening more and more. So that's why keep you powdered dry, stay frosty. As you know, I always say, fuckery is afoot. Also, what else is afoot is nonsense over the weekend. As I can't find it. There we go. We got this going on tomorrow night. This is The Secret Show. At 9 p.m., midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific time. There's usually some sort of debauchery, people drinking, pets with no clothing. It's really a scene, man. I don't know, it's more obscene than a scene. Sleeping on your stomach, there you go. I usually, if I have tummy troubles like that, I'll sleep on my back nice and still, but it really depends, right? So she had criminal court on October 2nd. And you'll have an update that. Okay. Oh, she has it coming up. Okay. Yes, please do. Please do. And we'll share that out too. Finally today, whatever it is, Lainey and I are starting, the undercurrent on October 1st plug, which is going to be Wednesday. Right. And it's the undercurrent. Right. So I like to, when we have a show, I like to have a theme. Right. So it's the undercurrent. So it's like a water theme. So you got kind of this aqua theme going on. And I had that in mind when I came up with, when I found these two little kickers for us, two little back-to-back funsies for us to get out of here with some sunshine, maybe. As Crab found riding first class on a passenger train in England. There he is, just chilling. First class, too, right? You have the whole seat. I don't understand why you're just on the edge. So the driver of a Southwestern Railway train in England said he initially thought he was being pranked when he heard there was a crab sitting in first class. He just probably thought it was some old white bitch that wouldn't shut the fuck up. This is the crab. What happened? What? Bring Nay's Nips to the next Secret Show? I wonder what happened to Nay's garden. What? He's got me blocked from his chat because I kept praising his nipples. He did not like that. That man does not. He is very humble when he comes to his nipples. So a railway official said on social media that passengers on the London to Portsmouth train spotted the small crab sitting on its own seat in first class. On a recent SWR journey, one of our drivers, Mark, was approached by a polite customer because it's Britain, it's England. He said, "Excuse me, driver, there's a live crab on the seat over there, and it's been there since I got off in Guildford." The Post said. Driver Mark Walsh said he initially thought someone was playing a joke on him, but he soon confirmed there was indeed a live crustacean commuter. Right? It was probably, he was complaining about the trip the whole time because he was a crab. So Walsh escorted the crab off the train at the Portsmouth and South Sea station. Very appropriate. Some people were quite concerned because I was walking around the station with a crab in my hand, but most people didn't bat an eyelid because, back in the day, everyone sported a crab in their hands. It was the style at the time, Walsh told the BBC. The driver relocated the crab, which he named Craig, to a local pond. He said it remained a mystery how the crab managed to end up in a first-class seat. He's probably from, a rich crab family. Maybe he was a friend of Aquaman's. He got hooked up on that cheese, or Namor, whichever franchise you like. I don't know if it fell out of a fisherman's bag or if it could be some young people having a laugh, but what I can't understand is that it came from London. Charlie T. Bob is your uncle. All right. There's that one. And finally, sea life thriving on unexploded Nazi bombs. Sub discovers said the sea life did not see that coming. Hey, the starfish It's kind of so marine life is thriving on unexploded Nazi bombs sitting at the bottom of a German bay. A submersible has discovered even capturing footage of starfishes creeping across a huge chunk of TNT. The discovery, which was revealed in a study published Thursday, was one of those rare but remarkable eureka moments. Marine biologist Andre Vedenen told AFP the waters off Germany's coast are estimated to be littered with 1.6 million tons of unexploded munitions left behind from both world wars. That was the thing. They just, after the wars, they just like, oh, don't need all this shit anymore. Put it in the fucking thing. It's like in the Ohio River. People like driving cars into there. They're saying, that's it. Nay Nipley. What? Oh no. The ghost of Nay's nipples is back. I didn't mean to conjure you. I'm sorry, master. 1.6 million tons of unexploded munitions left behind from both world wars. In October last year, a team of German scientists went to a previously uncharted dump site in the Baltic Sea's Lubeck Bay and sent an unmanned submersible 20 meters down, roughly around 60, 70 feet, to the seafloor. They were surprised when footage from the sub revealed 10 Nazi-era cruise missiles. Then they were stunned when they saw animals covering the surface of the bombs. There were roughly 40,000 animals per square meter, mostly marine worms, living on the munitions, the scientists wrote in the Journal of Communications, Earth, and Environment. They also counted 3 species of fish, a crab. I wonder if it's that crab that rode that train. Sea anemones, 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 a jellyfish relative called hydroids, and plenty of starfishes. I will tell you, if I was down there and saw animal life chewing on munitions, my chocolate starfish would pucker so tight, nothing would come out for years. Like Elvis. While animals covered the hard casing of the bombs, they mostly avoided the yellow explosive material. Except for one instance, the researchers were baffled to see that more than 40 starfishes had piled onto an exposed chunk of TNT. It looked really weird, said Vednen, the scientist at Germany's Karl von the University and the study's lead author. Yeah, exactly why the starfishes were there was unclear, but Vednen theorized that they could be eating bacterial film collecting on the corroding TNT. The explosive chemicals are highly toxic, but the animals appear to have found a way to live near it. Other than the death wish starfishes, the death wishes, they did not seem to be behaving strangely. The crabs were just sitting and picking something with their claws, Vednen says. To find out what kind of bombs they were dealing with, he went online and found a manual from the Nazi Air Force Luftwaffe describing how to handle and store V-1 flying bombs. The cruise missile exactly matched the 10 bombs from the footage. Vednen said there is some irony in the discovery that these things that are meant to kill everything are now attracting so much life. Yes, that is irony right there. Although eventually they'll probably die because it's some poison shit down there. May cut you off out of spite. I know, he is a very spiteful person. That's part of his charm. Especially, he's extremely spiteful when his shirt's off and his nipples, so glorious. He compared it to how animals such as deer now thrive in radioactive areas abandoned by humans near the site of the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Yeah, dogs, too. Hard surfaces on the seafloor are important for marine life that want more than mud and sand. Animals once flocked to huge boulders that littered the Baltic Sea. However, humans removed the stones to build infrastructure such as roads at the start of the 20th century. So when the Nazi bombs are eventually cleared from the bay, the researchers called for more stones or concrete structures to be put in place to continue supporting the sea life. The scientists also plan to return to the spot next month to set up a time-lapse camera to watch what the starfishes do next. And then, of course, you know what's going to happen next. Boom. Them fishy gonna blow up. That's how Boudreaux down in the bayou. He tell you, boy, that old starfish go down there and eat that TNT, boy. You know it gonna blow up. Yeah, okay, I guess that's it. We're done. Somehow, somewhere, we made it through the chasm. That is Friday morning. So like we said, secret show tomorrow night at midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific time. This show will be back on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Mountain Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time. Miss Lainey Peterson is going to be joining me for a little bit on the morning show, and we'll be talking about stuff we're going to be working on for the premiere of The Undercurrent on YouTube and other places. We're building the social media stuff around all this stuff so you can have access to it in your favorite formats. And so she's going to be on for that for a little bit to talk about some stuff we're doing for Wednesday. And the show itself will premiere on October 1st at the same time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific time on its own YouTube channel, but it's also going to be here on the ExtraBulla channel as well, and a few other places, I think, too. So, all the donation links for all the GoFundMe's are down below. If you want to donate here and become a Patreon member, you can do that, and all the donation stuff's down below. You can also do super chats here. We can do that stuff too. But if you can't do that, if you can share out the links, that helps me out as well. You really have no idea how helpful it is when you're just sharing out links for people and hopefully getting that passed on. Because somewhere along the line, somebody's like, oh, okay, well, I got a few bucks I can probably throw in there. So, and it helps. Someone that you think someone was bringing live crabs home for dinner and want to escape? Probably. Or, or maybe he was fancy or she was fancy, whatever. I don't know. Did they check under the hood to see if that was a crab dude or a crab lady? I don't know. Or it could have been left by a very big passenger who had crabs of a different kind. I'll see myself out. See y'all tomorrow night for a secret show. Come see us Tuesday again for this show. Peace out. Love you. What?
This is SETI Alpha 5!
Soon.